think the difference in passing and running the ball is, I mean, anybody can go out there and pass, and it's pretty, it's fast, efficient. But to beat a team down, you got to run the ball. To physically beat them down, you run the ball, and you can go out there and pass. They're gonna pass too. It's gonna be a pass like a shootout, But when you run the ball, you physically beat a team down, they will quit. I think that's the biggest thing. Like, you want a team to quit and yield, you run the ball down their throat, and that's the way to stop them.
The running back position is one of the most iconic in all of football. It is a role that demands an incredible combination of grace and grit, finesse and ferocity. To watch a great running back is to witness poetry in motion, eloquence of dance paired with the resilience of a warrior. It's no wonder this position has produced some of the most unforgettable moments in NFL history.
He's got it, and he's got it. Elliott to the kettle time.
A running back's task is not just to carry the ball, but to carry the team. They navigate a battlefield where split-second decisions mean the difference between glory and defeat. The ability to weave through defenders, absorb punishing hit, push forward when others will fall defines their greatness. You see, there's an art to how a running back moves, fluid, almost instinctive. Watch Barry Sanders on film, and you will see a masterclass in elusiveness. His speed is blurred as he leaves defenders grasping at air. Sanders turned broken plays into highlights, embodying the grace that only rare few possess. Then there's Gale Sayers, the Kansas Comet, who seemed to glide over the field. His moves so smooth it felt like it was preordained. He played in an era where medical science wasn't what it is today, but yet his brief career still remains one of the most breathtaking examples of talent. Running backs are not just artists, they're warriors. Take Jim Brown, often considered one of the greatest of them all. His combination of power and speed was unmatched, running through defenders as if they were just mere obstacles in his path. You see, Brown just didn't play football, he dominated. Walter Payton, aptly nicknamed Sweetness, exemplified toughness in every way. He could juke, spin, leap over defenders, but what set him apart was his unyielding determination. Payton never ran out of bounds to avoid contact. He met defenders head on, a reflection of his relentless spirit. And let's not forget EmmittSmith, the NFL's all-time leading rusher. He wasn't the flashiest backs, but his durability and consistency were a testament of his toughness. Through grit and determination, Smith would build a career that defines longevity and success. See, when you talk about the greatest, the list is as long as it is illustrious. Players like Eric Dickerson with his elegant upright running style, LaDainian Tomlinson, who redefined versatility for the modern backs, Marshall Faulk, who was a dual threat. His ability as a running back and a receiver made him a cornerstone of the Rams, the greatest show on turf. We cannot overlook Adrian Peterson, whose combination of raw power and agility carried him to an MVP season and countless jaw-dropping performances. Derrick Henry today continues the legacy of running backs, showing the league that this position is still alive and well.
To Henry. Henry bounces outside 5, 10, 15, stiff arm, 20, 25, 30, 40, stiff arm, 50, 40, 30. He's on his feet, mid chase, 20, 15, 10, 5, 99 yards.
The running back position represents the heartbeat of the game. It is a role that balances artistry with power, vision with execution. These players have left an incredible mark on the sport, inspiring generations with their performances. So today, we honor the legends of the backfield, not just for the yards they gain or the records they set, but for the way they play the game. They remind us that football is not just a sport, It is a blend of beauty and grit. And nowhere is that more evident than in the running back position. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Y'all, what y'all think about that little video?
Bro, that was
Wow.
beautiful. I'm nearly in tears. Conversation over.
Holy cow.
I'm getting, we're done.
I'm giving props, man, to the director and the producer and the choreographer and everybody in the house that put that bad boy together. I was
crazy.
I was ready to find a football helmet and some shoulder pads, man. Woo.
I know, man.
Great job, EC.
Man, appreciate it, y'all. Y'all, this is the Fair Weather Fan Channel, man. Y'all, we're here for another live podcast. It is 6:00 p.m., not on Tuesday, but on Monday. We want you guys to have Christmas Eve off, so we decided to come in and do it early. Listen, if you haven't guessed it by the opening video, man, this is a conversation strictly about the running backs. Y'all, let's just talk about it, man. Let's just dive in. The question I wanted to jump out right off the rip, and I'm going to ask you guys, you jump in at any time. And when the fellas get here, I'm going to redirect the questions to them if they get on.
Awesome.
Give me your top 5 running back, just your top 5 for right now. The ones that you would put in the top 5, starting with number 1 in order from 1 through 5.
So, per our conversation, we said we were going to make it our favorite running backs of all time.
Yeah, your favorite. Yeah, starting.
And so, I'll, if it's okay with you, Jay, I'll go first because I'm old, age before beauty. Number 1, they called him TD, Tony Dorsett, from those Dallas Cowboys.
Okay.
I felt like Tony, anytime he had the ball in his hands, he could go the distance, like he did on Monday night from 99.5 yards against the Miami Dolphins.
I remember that. Yeah.
Number 2, the pride of Sealy, Texas, via SMU, Eric Dickerson.
Eric, yeah, ED.
Eric was a bad boy. Number 3, the Tyler Rose, University of Texas Longhorns on the Houston Oilers, the great Earl Campbell.
Yeah.
Number 4, Sweetness from the Chicago Bears. EC did a great job in putting him in the clip earlier. Walter Payton, greatness. I'm going to go a little old school, number 5, and then I want to hear y'all's 5. This is old school, but repping Penn State and winning a number of Super Bowls for the Pittsburgh Steelers was a guy that wore number 32 proudly, the great Franco Harris.
Ooh, you going Franco Harris.
I just went old school on y'all. Okay. All right, J-Dub.
Okay.
All right, J-Dub.
Man, it's just hard to follow the intro and your list. Just real quick, so it's on record. There's 5, and he just mentioned most of them. There's 5 running backs that consistently come up in highlights and people talking that I'm not old enough to have witnessed their greatness. And the 5 that are on that list that I can't speak about, so they're not on my list, is Jim Brown, Gale Sayers, Earl Campbell, O.J. Simpson, and Tony Dorsett. Okay?
Gotcha.
So those 5, I know they're probably top 10 running backs, but we're trying to go off of what we know. Okay?
Absolutely.
So, with that being said, and those people giving their credit, my list is based on my favorite versus the best and where they cross. Trying to find that sweet spot in between those 2 statements. Number 1, hands down, will always be LT, you know.
Okay, yeah.
He could run it, he could catch it, he could throw it.
TCU.
You know, he's from TCU, from Texas boy. I was a Chargers fan. He made me a Jets fan for a couple years. That's number 1. Number 2 is Adrian Peterson.
Gotcha.
I mean, I know we've seen all the highlights where he's throwing people to the ground with his offhand, right? That's a different animal.
The pride of Palestine, Texas.
Right, and that I'll give him a pass that he played for Oklahoma. You know, wearing the shirt, I get it. So he ran the ball like I think a running back should run the ball. He was the running back that I would want on my team. The way he played. Number 3, Barry Sanders, who most people would have number 1 just because he was, so my lifetime, I got to see some of his career live as a youngster, but I've certainly looked into it as an adult and how great he was. I wish he'd have played longer, but it's hard to be the best guy on a terrible team for over a decade. That's 1, 2, 3. My number 4 is Michael Falk. I love your introduction because Kurt Warner didn't have 2 wide receivers to throw to. He had 3.
Come on with it. Come on, facts. Facts.
Right?
Yeah.
So that is impossible to guard against. And I think that was all due to Marshall's running ability, finding the hole ability, his catching. It was just terrible. I can't imagine trying to be a defensive coordinator against that team, especially at the height of their success. My number 5, I'm going to break protocol real quick. And my number 5 is my group of the 3 players that I got to know through video games and highlights. Okay? One of them is the best athlete to ever do anything, in my opinion. And the other 2 are right there behind him. It's Bo Jackson, Walter Payton, and Eric Dickerson. So these are all 3 that I got to see some of their career, but not enough of it to put them in my top. But I played with them on video games. I saw how elite they were.
Yeah.
I remember Eric Dickerson on Tecmo Bowl for the Rams was like the only play you could run to get anything done, right? So that's my number 5. Is my 3 people that maybe I'm not old enough to talk much about, but are still on my list. Is Bo, Walter, and Eric. So that's my top 5.
Wow, that's crazy. My top 5, I always got to go with Walter Payton, and for the same reason you just named, J-Dub. While people was playing Tecmo Bowl on Nintendo, I didn't have the Nintendo. I had the Sega, so I was playing Walter Payton football.
Yeah, I had that one too.
Yeah. So Walter Payton number 1. I got to go with Jim Brown, man, because the dude just scares me. Even in his movies, I still today I keep remembering American Gangster. You know what I'm saying? How he came back in that old movie and stuff like that. But the Jim Brown, man, just how he represented himself, just being that dude. He was a scary dude. Then I got to go with obviously Barry Sanders. Barry is my guy. You know what I'm saying? I didn't get to watch a lot of Walter Payton, but you watch a ton of highlights. Didn't get to watch Jim Brown, but a ton of highlights. But Barry, I witnessed first. I witnessed with my own eyes. I've seen every bit of. I'm like, man, a man to be that great on a bad team, that is crazy. He was the whole team. If it wasn't Barry, wasn't there, they had no chance. Number 4, I gotta put God, I'm just drawing my list right here. Eric Dickerson. I'm sorry, I want to draw the but Eric Dickerson in that spot. And you already for a lot of reasons. Now, number 5, this is one emotional for me, because it is what it is. I got to put EmmittSmith at number 5.
Wah, 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 wah.
And listen.
It's not wrong and it's not right. It's not anything. It's
exactly.
He's still the rushing leader.
So this is what started this conversation a year ago.
Funny.
Is that I was talking with a buddy of mine, and I actually went to work and I started just asking everybody random questions about who their favorite running back is and who they think the greatest was. And I was alarmed because EmmittSmith was on my list. And I was shocked, number 1, that EmmittSmith didn't make everybody's top 5. But the fact that he didn't make number 1 on nobody's list, not even mine, I said, wait a minute. This has got to be a conversation worth having. And this is what started the running back conversation. So I'm going to let you take it, J-Dub, first. Why is EmmittSmith, in your opinion, not in anybody? Because he's not in – there's a few people that are Associated Press. Like, I got some list of these guys. Like, I got if you come down to Fox Sports put him off from there, but Fox Sports is what it is. Then there's a web channel called Talk Sports. They got EmmittSmith as number 1. But the majority of all these things I went through, of course, what we did last year, majority of people don't have EmmittSmith as number 1, let alone in their top 5. So what's your rundown on why you think that is?
So it's crazy because Coach and I have talked about this for years. This is a conversation. So I'm going to steal some words out of his mouth. He can repeat it. So EmmittSmith is, I think most males, if you got to ask who we would trade places with, I think most of us would trade places with Emmitt. He dances like we want to dance. He acts like we want to act. He looks like we want to look. He played like we want to play. He might be one of the most durable football players of all time.
Right.
But he played behind an offensive line that was larger and better than every defensive line in the NFL. Some of the holes he was running through, we can drive a school bus through and then still have time to get the running back through afterwards. It's crazy. He is phenomenal. His durability, he was in the right system. He's never facing 12 in a box because you got the playmaker on one side and whoever else they put on the other side. So EmmittSmith is phenomenal. He's not on my top 10. He should be. My 10th pick is a personal favorite. I had to do one. He's the rushing leader. He's in everybody's top 20, but he could be your number one, and there's nothing wrong with saying that. He is the enigma of enigmas in a very difficult conversation. He is the best, or he could be number 20, and I'm good with either of those stances for sure. EmmittSmith, though, I'll trade places with him right now.
Absolutely. Go ahead, Coach D. What you got? Why is EmmittSmith not in number one despite his career stats?
It's interesting having conversations with J-Dub and a couple other guys that know EC and us comparing notes on running backs. All the conversations I had with all the different people who didn't put EmmittSmith in their top 5, we all agreed that EC would have EmmittSmith in his top 5. So I found that interesting. Okay. Everybody who doesn't love EmmittSmith, okay, he made it look so easy. Again, part of the reason is because he played behind what a lot of people say is the greatest offensive line ever assembled.
Right.
But what people don't remember, that EmmittSmith and his Heisman Trophy candidate, when he received his Heisman Trophy and he gave his induction speech, the person that he gave the most props to, the person that made his career what it was Daryl Moose Johnston.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. What the offensive line that averaged about 340 across the board didn't get, Moose cleaned up.
Absolutely.
Okay. I think I could have probably ran for the Cowboys for a couple of years there with that offensive line and having Moose in front of me. So I think that's the reason, EC. But man, who doesn't love EmmittSmith?
And just to follow up, this conversation, this is why it's so good. This is the hardest conversation in sports. Literally.
Yeah.
So it depends on what tact you take on how you make your list, right? Are we talking about durability? Are we talking about the guy who's always going to show up every single game? He's going to do his job every single game. Then I got no problem saying EmmittSmith is the number one running back of all time.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But every conversation is different, and the parameters of the conversation affect how you rank the people.
Yeah.
And the list for me was my favorite all time. If you pushed me in a corner and said, "Hey, who you think are the greatest of all time? Who's the best of the best?" He's in the top 3.
Okay.
So,
because you said y'all. So me, I'm gonna play a little devil advocate out there, just because it's a conversation. But here in Texas, we got this this little sporting goods store called Shields. If you go to Shields, the top level, they have a little statue of Emmitt, and he often comes on. He starts talking to the people.
Yep.
It's a good photo op for the children and stuff like that. I love it.
It's awesome.
But here's my thing. I'm looking at his stats. His stats are phenomenal. And I hear the argument that it comes down to the offensive line they play with and the other level of talent, the other Hall of Famers with Troy, Mike, Daryl Moose Johnson, all those other guys, even their tight end. I can't think of his name. What was his name?
Jay Novacek, their tight end. All these guys, Hall of Famers. Man, listen. But to me, it's like a slap in the face to suggest that he wouldn't be as good of a running back if he didn't have it. And that's the part that I'm like, I have to give a little pushback. I'm like, y'all, the guy was a baller. We saw what he did in college. We know what he can produce on the gridiron. And because he was blessed
more than other running backs on this list. To have those complementary players that he played with, I don't think that should be a knock against his record, you know. But I understand why the argument is, because it depends on the way you look at the game. So I just want to play a devil's advocate. So the question is, and I'm going, because you're right there, J-Dub. Why does that matter? Help me out. Change my mind.
It's not a knock. It's not a knock. So let's find. So just real quick. So in your mind, switch Barry Sanders and EmmittSmith teams.
Okay.
Do we remember EmmittSmith as a Detroit Lion? And I'm not saying that we don't, because there's been a lot of good players on a lot of bad teams. Adrian Peterson had to deal with that. That's somebody. Yeah. The first couple of years of Breeze's stint in San Diego, they weren't very good. LaDainian had to deal with that. So it's not something that nobody's had to deal with before. But is Emmett the rushing leader in Detroit, or is Barry the rushing leader in Dallas? So, but this is why football conversations are the most difficult. Okay,
right?
Because Ryan Leaf could have been Tom Brady, and Tom Brady could have been Ryan Leaf.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what I was going to say. I mean, that's like saying, is Tom Brady the GOAT if he spends 15 years in Detroit? The answer to the question is no.
Right.
It's hard. These conversations are not easy. So, with that being said, again, there is no correct answer. I think from all of us looking into it this week, there's 25 running backs that as long as it's not anybody off that list of 25, it's not wrong. There might be levels of right. Somebody might have a better argument than others, but every one of them has an argument. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So Emmett could be number one, and I'm not even going to hate on the person who puts him at, and I'm not even going to argue with him.
Exactly, 1,000%. I agree, 100%, 1,000%. Yeah.
He told a story. I forgot. I was watching the interview, and he told the story. He even had to hold back tears telling the story. When he left the Cowboys, ended up going to Arizona. Mm-hmm. They end up coming back and playing the Cowboys in the game. And here he is in his locker room, the visiting locker room. And, obviously he left the Cowboys, money situations, negotiation, all that stuff kind of fell through the cracks. And then he did what most players do. They use their leverage and they go to another team. And so, but while he's over there, he said he got really emotional. And one of his teammates came up to him like, "Hey man, what's going on? Like, we about to play the Cowboys, he looked at his teammate and said, "I'm not supposed to be here in this locker room. I'm supposed to be over there." And by this time in his career, obviously late in his career, he had gained so much respect from players across the league to where his team gave him at least 30 minutes to cry by himself in the locker room. I mean,
I love that.
I mean, and people may not understand exactly what that is. When we about to get around and go play, we don't need you sobbing over. We need to beat them. You know what I'm saying? Whatever you need to do, get over it. But we got to go beat them. But when you're EmmittSmith, when you're a EmmittSmith, you have that type of I don't know what the word to use, but you bring that type of energy. People love who you are, and they allow you to do that because you're EmmittSmith. And they know that once the ball is kicked or the clock started moving, that you're going to be EmmittSmith on the field, and he did his thing. What up, Jonathan G? Yo, Jonathan G, you remember this conversation, man? Join in the conversation. Join in, man. What up, brother? But no, so let's talk about the top 10. So start with you, J-Dub. 6 through 10. Who you got?
Come on.
Okay, so let's remember I got a three-way tie 5, right?
Okay. Fair enough.
So my last three are easy. And again, now we get to lean more on favorite people I got to watch. Okay. Yeah. So my number 8 is LeSean Shady McCoy.
Okay.
Boy, was a ticket. Okay. I don't care what team he's playing for. I'm not an Eagles fan, but he did it every single week.
Yeah.
Ball, blocked, ran, did everything. If they let him kick off, I'm sure he would have done that too.
Yeah.
My number 9 is a player that I got to grow up watching him get success to a degree and not ever getting a ring. Thurman Thomas was the best AFC running back for 5 solid years.
Yeah.
He was in a good system, the pistol, and I get it. They had a good thing going, and Thurman Thomas is my number 9.
Yeah.
My number 10 is super selfish. You're asking me to put the best. This guy does not make it. But my number 10 is for me. Bruh, was there anything better than watching Mike Allstott get the ball?
Oh, my gosh.
Whoa. Whoa.
This man.
He went there. He went there. That's like handing the ball to Eric. That's like handing the ball to EC, man.
He's not even trying to run you over.
He really just went there. He went there.
He's holding it like this, knowing that you can't tackle me. Absolutely. I'm not trying to hurt you, but you can't bring me to the floor. Right. So before my number 10 was Marshawn Lynch, Mr. Skittles, but I was like, nah, I need an opportunity to talk about Mike Allstott for a second. Yeah. This man was different. And if you go back and you can find them, some of my best highlights are him as the lead blocker. It's remember the Titans' last play. He's taking out 3 people on the way to the touchdown. It's crazy. Yeah. It's crazy. This man was slow. He was big, and you couldn't tackle him. So my number 10, for personal reasons, is Mike Allstott. If you need me to give you the people who are just off the list because I was a fanboy right now, I can do that too.
Wow. That's impressive.
AG, you see your top 10, whatever you want, because you can do your top 10 is your top. It could be accomplishment, it could be ability.
Your favorite.
It could just be your favorite person.
I'm doing favorite versus best. There's a cross section right there between favorite versus best.
So, AG, I'm gonna send you the link, and I know you're probably moving around, but if you want to jump in real quick and jump on the show, man, I'm gonna send you this link real quick. I'm gonna send you the link so you can jump in if you want to. But I'm gonna ask this question to J-Dub before I get to you, D-Way. You mentioned Mike Allstott, and Bo Jackson. I want to use because these are names that people rarely forget. Now, Bo Jackson he's synonymous with obviously being one of the greatest athletes of all time, obviously because he played multiple positions and stuff like that in the Olympics and all over the world. So he get us props there. But when it comes down to NFL football, we forgot him.
Yeah.
And Mike Allstott, I mean, most people just like, when you get the players like this here, who didn't play, who just, they forget. Obviously, running back, fullback game, stuff like that. We get all this stuff like that, but the backfield is the backfield, regardless who you're talking about. So, it don't matter. Fullback, GG said Allstott is a fullback. The running back, backfield.
He ran it too.
An NFL running back.
Yeah.
He carried
So, J-Dub, real quick, go ahead and just talk to the people about why those two are in your favorite because most people may not even know who those guys are.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody listen to me? The 2 that are in my top, almost to my top 10 that are currently playing are Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley. I like backs that run people over. I can't run nobody over. I'm 6'5", 220 at best, but I like to watch people run people over. So Derrick Henry, I mentioned a bunch. Bo Jackson didn't avoid contact and he was fast. I mean, how many men are strong enough to dislocate their own hip? That's crazy. The injury at the end of his career shouldn't even be doable. Mike Allstott, you couldn't tackle him. So that's why Jerome Bettis is on my just off the list. That's why my favorite memory of any play ever is Steve Atwater and Christian Okoye meeting at the line of scrimmage. Yeah. I like backs who don't shy away from contact. So Bo Jackson and Mike Allstott I had to make sure Mike Allstott got it's too much of a hat nod, but I wanted to make sure he was on my list just because in my mind I'm saying it more dirty than I want to because I want people to remember that there are players who still run people over.
All right, D-Way, let's get.
He went there. Man, I gotta tell a couple quick stories real quick. Fall of '83, down in College Station, Oklahoma State came to town with their All-American running back by the name of Thurman Thomas, and the Aggie fans, we were scared to death. Okay, we were freaking out. Okay, he gets there and early in the first quarter, and Thurman goes down. He's hurt. He's out for the game. We're happy. We're excited. We're partying. They bring some snotty-nosed punk in there, a freshman kid that no one's ever heard of by the name of Barry Sanders. And 187 yards later, we got beat by 2 touchdowns. Barry scores 4 touchdowns in like 3 quarters. I mean, anyway, and then my college roommate fraternity brother of mine, really good friend of mine named Clint Remmert. Shout out to Clint, who's from Sealy, Texas. Played high school football with Eric Dickerson. They were besties.
Yeah.
They were the whole bit. They grew up together. Clint was a starting middle linebacker, and he was a center. Eric was a starting tailback and the free safety. And Clint said that Eric, as far as he was concerned, was the best football player in the nation their senior year. Okay. And of course, ended up going to SMU with Craig James, and we know what all happened there. But so that's cool, that I got to, see. And I got to see Eric play at SMU when they came to A&M. He was such a stud, man.
Yeah.
So for me, and this is really fixing to get controversial.
Okay.
So
we love controversy.
I'm gonna apologize ahead of time, but I got to see this guy step in the snow and dance in the snow and move and juke, step over people in the snow and the ice. Nobody did it better. My number 6 all-time favorite running back of all time. Y'all don't turn the camera off on me after I say this. O.J. Simpson.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, Juice. Okay.
Nobody could step, and he was up there in Buffalo when they were terrible. Okay. Number 7, and I think J-Dub really liked this pick. He was with Houston for a long time, and I think Tennessee. I think he started in Houston. Was from Ohio State, Eddie George. You guys get to see Eddie play at all?
Ooh, yeah.
Eddie was a stud. Stud. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially in Ohio State.
Oh man, he was a beast. He was a beast.
He was an absolute beast. Absolutely.
Yeah. Number 8, we've already mentioned. ECU mentioned. That played on the fastest show on turf, Marshall Faulk. I mean, Marshall was a man. Number 9, who came out of Telback University out in USC after OJ, was a guy by the name of Marcus Allen.
M.A.
Marcus could slash, man. He was a slasher. Yes. And then number 10, you can put a lot of people in that slot, but I mean, who didn't love LaDainian Tomlinson? So that's my crew. EC, your turn.
Oh man, so let's go ahead and get G top 5 real quick. Hey y'all, this is my boy Jonathan G. He been
what's up, Jonathan? What's up, man?
What up, fellas? What up, fellas?
See the line and yeah. There you go, man. G, give us your top 5 real quick.
Man, my top 5 right there. And Eric, my list is fluid because, man, I just love sports. I can look into a guy and watch a guy and fall in love with this week. And the next week, he might slide down to number 2. He might slide back to number 1.
Fairweather fan, baby.
Right. Hey, so with that being said, shout out to my boy OJ. I appreciate you shooting out OJ. I hate all the stuff that he went through. But on the field, if we talking about once the cleats on and you got that peel in your hand, you're talking about a guy that could run defenders out of the camera frame. And I mean, he was.
I like it.
I mean, he was gonna hit up through the hole, and it was done. All right, so that's my number 1.
I love it.
Right. All right. Now my number 2, of course, is always going to be Jim Brown. That's just me.
Okay.
I got Jim Brown. He floats from number 3 to number 1 in my list every time. You know what I mean? Today I decided to be controversial because I wanted to say, if I'm just going to say on just talent, and like if I was going to go by like the scouting combine and the metrics, man, I got CJ2K.
Man, he's right off my list.
J-Dub loves CJ, man. Woo.
Yes, sir. And I'm just talking about, again, if I got a hypothetical offensive line and a hypothetical fullback blocking for him, man, that guy would go bananas. You know what I mean?
All right. My God.
Now, my other guy, now this guy floats from 5 to 1. He got a big range, but I got Earl Campbell, Texas Rose.
Oh man, the Tyler Rose, man.
Hey, man, I got him. He floats for me anywhere from 5 to 1.
Man,
I got him.
Earl's the reason why they did away with the tearaway jersey in college, because man, he went through some jerseys in college.
He went through some jerseys. That's absolutely right. Even in the pro, like I say, all the pros, he just run after jersey.
Yeah.
And just for like, because I hate getting so much flack for my number 5, I gotta put Barry Sanders in. Just because people would say I was crazy for not having Barry Sanders in my top 5.
Greatness.
So so just like J-Dub, so D-Wade gave us a list. That was, he had players that are in the top 25, top 20 on his list, you know what I'm saying? Except for no, Franco Harris was in the top 25, so that was an excellent pick on there.
Right.
And J-Dub got most of his players except for Bo Jackson. Bo Jackson and Oscott was on there, Mike Oscott. But you got Chris Johnson.
Yes, sir.
On your list. I have not seen him in anybody's top 20.
Right.
He's in my top 20.
I'm looking at like Associated Press on the internet, so we need to go update the internet, man, from the fact and put some of these guys. But for folks who may not know Chris Johnson, man, explain to them why you put him on your list, man. CJ2K.
Chris was tough.
For me, again, when you talk about electricity, I understand Barry Sanders was going to be dancing and all that in the backfield, and Barry Sanders was electric. I'm not saying. Right, and I'm not saying, this is a debate, of course. I'm not saying CJ2K is better than Barry. But the electricity I'm talking about is when this guy got the ball and he started heading north and south, man, guys was in trouble.
Yeah.
Guys were in trouble, and I mean, there's nothing you could do. He could outrun your angle. And the same reason I got OJ up so high. Again, these are guys that you could have the angle on, and they have enough speed to go into another gear and make your angle just absolutely obsolete.
Man, y'all make me feel bad because I'm like, okay, so my sixth spot obviously is Adrian Peterson on there. You know what I'm saying? He from Texas, man. I knew one of his buddies, man. I used to get my hair cut by the guy. He got his hair cut by, man. Real cool. Never got a chance to meet him. Number 7, I got to go down and give it to like Marshall Faulk. Obviously, you know what I'm saying? Greatest show on turf.
Mm-hmm.
Number 8, this is where now at this point, because I had Emmett at number 5, you know what I'm saying? Obviously got A. Peter and Marshall Faulk. Everything starts to get a little jumbled. So, I'm going with Earl Campbell. And these are no particular order, but they just kind of round the bottom. Earl Campbell, I love his hot links, by the way. Just throw it out there. Y'all gonna laugh on this. I got LT on this list only because I was asleep on LT. When
LT is on my list.
When LT was doing this thing, y'all, let me tell you, my first introduction to LT was the Campbell Soup commercial. Because during that time when he was doing this thing, I had stopped watching football. I was out there, just wasn't really paying. Not that I stopped watching football, I just wasn't paying close attention to football that way. You know what I'm saying? So all the legends, you know what I'm saying, the teams I watched in the 90s, he just came in a time to where, that was a part of my life where I wasn't watching a whole lot of TV. You know what I'm saying? And I just remember that Camel commercial coming. I'm like, who is this guy? You know what I'm saying? And I got a chance to watch through his game. And it wasn't until after he played, I started realizing, man, this guy was a beast. But these are the most picks to me, the guys that they were my favorites. But LT around the list, you got LT, Earl Campbell. So you got Adrian Peterson, Earl Campbell, LT. And then I'm rounding up with I don't want to put OJ on the list. I thought about putting OJ on the list. I don't know if I want to. I'm looking at
that's what we were supposed to have our homework done before class started.
That's what I'm saying. I don't get it, man.
Well,
come on.
Look, can I interject? I want to interject one thing.
That's why.
Well, I just want to interject one thing.
Go ahead.
What's this? While I got the chance, what has amazed me so far of these lists, Walter Payton's name has not came up in our list.
Yeah, I had him.
I had him.
Yeah, I had him.
Okay, I missed it. Okay. Again, I checked in late.
Yeah.
But I would go with I will go ahead and go with OJ and Marcus Allen to round up the end, and then Gale Sayers. I think that'll be kind of fair. But Gale Sayers, I'm still. Matter of fact, no. Gale Sayers is gonna stay in the top 10 for me for a lot of reasons. But no, I was telling them about how we used to stay up late night over the house playing Walter Payton football. So
Oh my goodness. My goodness. If we're gonna talk about like, who I think may be the best like who the GOAT is and who my favorite is. See, all these are different people.
Right. No, I totally agree. Yeah.
Right. So Walter Payton is the guy that I just thought was a beast.
But J-Dub had a name on his list that you came in late. And I know, and I want you, because you talked on last year when we had this conversation, you had a complete 100% rant about this guy.
Okay.
Bo Jackson.
I'm telling you, he's on my list. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And the crazy thing is, he's not only on this list; he's on a professional baseball player list. If we want to have that conversation, and there ain't many people who overlap like that.
Right. I got Bo Jackson and Herschel Walker is maybe like, I'm talking about of the big sports, not gymnastics and all of that type of stuff. I got Bo Jackson and Herschel Walker is probably the most amazing athletes. I mean, that could do everything that I've ever seen.
Yeah. I don't think people realize how good an athlete that is.
Bo knows basketball. Bo knows
absolutely. Bo knows everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bo knows everything. And again, Herschel Walker.
Right. Except staying healthy. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Except staying healthy.
Yeah.
Right.
Hey, just real quick, Jonathan G., here's the conversation we were talking about it right before you got on. We all have really good lists. Top 5, and yours was phenomenal. Yes, nobody's given EmmittSmith any love in the top 5, and that's what we were talking about. What's your take on that?
EmmittSmith falls into the same category as I would say Kobe Bryant. Because you're not Michael Jordan, because you're not LeBron, you wind up getting left up and pushed way down more than you actually should. EmmittSmith is a hell of a back. If anybody had him at number 1, I would not be mad.
Yeah, that's exactly what we were saying right before you got on. That's exactly what we agreed to. That would have totally made sense.
Why don't he fit on? But why he's not in your top 10?
Why is he not in my top 10? Because he was guys way more athletic and way more electric and spectacular.
That's fair.
That could do it on their own. That could do it.
Well, the thing is, I don't want to say Emmett couldn't do it on his own because Emmett ran north to south. Well, again, but what I'm saying is,
yes, he did.
I'm saying his style. He ran north to south. Barry Sanders could run for 1,500 yards, but lose you 400 yards. You see what I'm saying? Emmett Smith, all of his yards was going to be positive.
And just as a side note, my dad said, and of course, he was older than all of us, but he said the 2 greatest running backs that he'd ever seen play live was obviously number 1 was Jimmy Brown.
Yeah.
Number 2, he said Gale Sayers was special. Said Gale Sayers was special, dude. So
I believe that. I've done homework on Gale Sayers, and I know Gale Sayers was a beast, but he's like my other guy, Will Chamberlain. It's just not enough footage on him for me to convince anybody. You know what I mean? I can't convince anybody of how great Wilt is, all the way to the point to where people say Wilt's numbers are made up. I mean,
right.
I mean, that in itself is amazing. Could you imagine somebody told you, man, Jordan wouldn't get no 30 points, no game, and every time you would be like, nah, for real, he was, dude.
So, just throwing out there, I want to remind my brothers over at Facebook Talk Radio. Obviously, they're running late, so I don't know if they're going to get a chance to join us now, but we're going to go ahead and move on with the versus battle. And G, you going to stay on for the rest of it?
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. So we awesome. go ahead and do the versus battle, man. G remember this from last year. So I know he's pretty excited about this. But there's one I want to get out the way. So I'm gonna throw this question to Coach because you know these 2 players. These guys had short careers. Gale Sayers, Terrell Davis, both Hall of Famers. Which one would you take over the other between Gale Sayers or Terrell Davis?
Man,
you got to pick one.
Just because I got to see him play and because I was a Bronco guy, I'm going to take Terrell Davis.
You're going to take Terrell?
Because I got to see him play his entire career. So I'm going to go TD.
So he's going Terrell Davis. So I'm the guy that's playing devil's advocate. So whoever he goes with, I'm going to just go and root for the other guy. So I get you picking Terrell Davis. And Terrell Davis is a phenomenal player, stuff like that. TD was the man. But just like he had in my promo, you know what I'm saying? Gale Sayers, when they started talking about that his moves, they seemed like they was preordained. And the reason why, because he had a conversation with somebody and he said that as he was running, he never really looked at defenders. He just ran and his mindset go this way. He just happened to go that way. He's like, he never tried to evade the opponent. He just ran, and wherever his mindset go, he just went. And he himself said he just felt like God was leading him on the field, you know what I'm saying? And I was like, wow. So that alone, obviously both these guys fell victim to injury early. And I know you're right, G. There is not a lot of film on Gale Sayers, but the film that I did find, he look like he looked like he's running on ice skates. The Kansas County look like he's up on ice skates.
It looks like he birthed Eric Dixon.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's good.
Right.
That's good.
So you got a coach going with Terrell. I'm going with Gale Sayers. J-Dub, who would you take out of the two?
I'm gonna go with TD. Just again,
okay.
Gale Sayers is on my list of the guys that I didn't get to see, so I can't speak enough about. But I got to see TD, and if he didn't get injured in his 6th or 7th season, he'd be on the list of all-time rushing leaders right now.
Right,
absolutely. Who would you take, G?
All right. As much as I would like to say TD for the same reason that the coach said, I'm gonna go Gale Sayers because not only was his career short, man, those migraines and all of that, it was just kind of too much going on with touchdown Terrell Davis for me. But I absolutely loved him though. You know, Gale Sayers kind of ended his by really, really getting hurt. TD was having a whole bunch going on.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Good
all right,
point.
so that's 1 point for Coach over there. Let's go on to the next one. I'm going to do this one too because this is kind of fun. Here's some guys, one we just talked about, another we didn't, who could have made the Hall of Fame, but both these guys had short careers. And I'm pretty sure it's going to be a slater, but I got to fight for it. Bo Jackson versus a strong, young, healthy Jamal Charles. This is going to J-Dub. Who would you take?
I already know.
Bro, that's even another name that you forget. There's so many names. I wasn't even thinking Jamal Charles. But with all that being said, as great as Jamal was, I got Bo on my list, dog. You think I'm going to go with somebody that's not on my list over somebody that's on my list?
That's why I went to you, yeah.
I'm going Bo. I'm going Bo over most of the people you can say, especially if I can get Bo. Hitting home runs in the All-Star game, Bo. That's my guy, you know? So I'm going Bo Jackson right there for sure, but that's a good one. I'm going to write Jamal Charles on my list.
That's what's up. Man, I'm looking at
he's on my list already.
I'm looking at Jamal Charles' career stats with 1,400 carries, man, 7,000 yards, a little over 7,500 yards, 44 touchdowns. He averaged 4 yards a carry, man. So you're talking about with the short career that he had, the very, very short career he had, he could have been one of the most dynamic backs. I just remember that during the time he was in Kansas, Kansas had nothing. They had nothing. He was that guy. He was the. But you talking about
everything I've said. I like people who run people over, and Jamal used to juke them and spin off of them. Right?
He was him.
Yeah, he was him. That's right.
So your medical science. Here's another victim to medical science, just like Bo Jackson and Gale Sayers, because the way these running backs getting these ACL and Achilles injuries and coming back within a year, they didn't have that back in their days. These guys, once you got an ACL injury, your career was over with. You know what I'm saying? I just remember those days.
Still today, 6-7 years is a long career for a running back.
For real.
Yeah.
All right, G, who won that argument? Who would you take, Bo Jackson or Jamal Charles?
I gotta go Bo.
You gotta go Bo.
I gotta go Bo. I gotta go Bo. Jamal Charles was real nice, but again, Bo single.
Bo knows.
Bo, no, that was an easy toss over. That was an easy alley for J-Dub. I thought I was going to try my best to root, but nobody believes me. Nobody believes me.
Right. Well, and again, with Bo, again, he single-handedly was bringing the NFL back during that strike season. After that strike season,
right.
They wasn't getting no viewership. But as soon as Bo come back, man, the ratings and everything would go up.
So I'm gonna throw this. Let me give you this one, G. I'm gonna give you this one. Here's a good one for you, G. Frank Gore and Alvin Kamara.
Ooh,
gotta pick one. You gotta pick one.
Ooh, I'm gonna go Frank Gore on longevity still though. Alvin Morris was nice.
Hey, G, I want to give you one too. Okay, Frank Gore versus Tony Dorsett.
Hey, we're gonna get to that in a minute.
Tony Dorsett.
Okay. All right.
I'm with you.
So Frank Gore, you taking Frank Gore?
Yeah, Frank Gore over Alvin. Alvin Morris was a beast. But he was getting a lot of carries like EmmittSmith.
I mean, obviously, Alvin Kamara is still playing right now, and what he's done for the Saints organization, continue to do for the Saints organization. I like Frank Gore. Frank Gore kind of, and it's personal, but Frank Gore kind of let me down these last couple of years with his antics in media and stuff like that. Him trying to be a boxer, he's been acting very, very weird. But I love his keep it on the gridiron. I love his game. But when I look at Alvin Kamara is just on the wrong team. You know what I'm saying?
No, without
he's just on the wrong team.
Yeah.
But here's another here's another dual threat guy, a receiver and a running back. You talking about? So I'm going with Alvin Kamara on this list right now. So you got G that's going with Frank Gore. I got Alvin Kamara. J-Dub, who you taking?
Man, I want every part of my body wants to say Alvin Kamara for you, and I agree with you. If he was on a different team, I might be able to. He's a dual threat. He's a good dude. He's personable. He gives good interviews. Everything you want, yada, yada, yada. But I think I got to go Frank Gore just because of what he did and for how long he did it. And I'm blessed to be ignorant to know what anything you're talking about with the controversy. I don't know any of that.
Yeah. All right, Coach, who you take?
Man, I just really like Alvin Kamara. I like his game. I like how he plays. I like how hard he plays. I like that he can catch passes. I mean, he can even return kicks. I just like Alvin. I've always liked Alvin. I've always felt bad for him because he's always been on a bad team. So, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Since you want to get to Tony Dorsett.
You know I do. He's my favorite all time. Coach,
and you got to pick one. And I already know which one you're going to pick, but it ain't going to be what you think. Tony Dorsett versus one, LeSean Shady McCoy. You gotta pick one.
I mean that's easy for me. I mean Tony Dorsett is one of what I think is one of the greatest of all time. So I'm gonna stop right there.
Of course, I'm taking LeSean McCoy, and I don't even have to give. So I already know J-Dub. What J-Dub answer is?
Yeah.
Brother, it's shady. It's shady. I mean, even playing on a team I don't necessarily root for, I was always rooting for him. And you want to talk about a blocking back? Do you know how many lives he saved by picking up a blitz or finding a downfield hit for T.O. or whoever, Westbrook, whoever was playing with him at the time?
Said protect your quarterback. Yeah.
Man, he does it. I love the shaded out visor, everything about it.
Hey, G, who you picking, Tony Dorsett or LeSean McCoy?
I think we lost him.
Yeah, he's over the cutting hair. I don't think he can hear us now.
Yeah, he's over the cutting hair. G, can you hear me? I'm gonna pull him out real quick.
TD, baby.
Yeah, I think his reception went out. I'll let him come back in. I'll catch him when he pulled out. But all right, then so I'm gonna give Coach one on that one. No. Yeah,
both of y'all said LeSean, so I lost.
You lost on that one. All right, then let's go back to J-Dub. It only gets harder. I'm just letting you know right now.
It should.
All right, then. Earl Campbell versus Marshawn Lynch. You like guys like to run each other over.
Yeah, and I hear you. Again, Earl's on my list of guys that I wish I was better versed in. He's a big dude. He's a Texas dude. I get it. I'm with it. But I got to see LeSean play. I got to see 11 people trying and failing to tackle him.
Yeah.
A lot of people, we want to remember the run from Seattle against the Saints, but there was a lot of runs from Buffalo before he got to Seattle that this man was untackleable. That's a hard word to say. Try it. Everybody try it.
Untackleable.
There it is. So I'm gonna go Marshawn all day.
All right, then. So you're going with Marshawn, and we'll let Coach decide between you and I. I'm just going to give my bid for Earl Campbell. Now, these guys have you're talking about if a player birthed another player. If I believe that Marshawn may have some DNA of Earl Campbell in his blood, because Coach had the opportunity to see both guys play. You know what I'm saying? And I've watched Earl Campbell play in highlights and stuff, like never got a chance. But the mindset, both mindsets are crazy. You know, wasn't Earl Campbell the one that said that, you know, one guy reached his hand into his face guard and he bit his hand. He said, anything that comes in here is mine.
Yeah.
That type of stuff he would do. You know what I'm saying? We know about the breakaway jersey and stuff like that. How, you know, the guy was a beast. He was a beast. He was like the reincarnation of Jim Brown. You know what I'm saying? They was the same type of player, but their mindset, Earl Campbell mindset and Marshawn was so similar. But because Earl Campbell was the first do it and Marshawn is the one coming up, I'm giving a slight edge to Earl Campbell in this category.
Is it my turn?
It's your turn, Coach. I'm sorry. Yeah,
guys,
who you got?
Guys, I mean, I'm just gonna call it like it is. A lot of people will tell you that Earl Campbell was in the top 3 greatest of all time.
Yeah.
I wish that J-Dub, because Earl was a Houston Oilers guy and Jay was down there in that, you know, when he was a kid. I wish he got to see Earl play and when he was in his prime. So Earl Campbell for sure.
I want to add one thing, right?
Go ahead.
There's not many plays in NFL history. There's a few. There's a handful. There's 10 or 20 that we remember like it was yesterday, like it just happened earlier tonight. Okay, we all remember the emotion we felt when Pete Carroll called a pass play on 1st and goal with 8 seconds to go in the Super Bowl, and you have Marshawn Lynch, and everybody in the world who was watching the game knows nobody can stop Marshawn Lynch from getting 3 inches. There was 3 inches to get a touchdown. There is not – I didn't get to see the steel line play. I don't remember the original Minnesota Purple People Eaters, but in my memory, including the Ravens run by Ray Lewis, there is nobody who could have stopped Marshawn Lynch from getting 3 inches. And technically, he'd have got 2 chances with the timeout. So I don't know how many play. Again, I didn't get to see Earl. I wish I did, because the highlights I've seen, he's a monster. But Marshawn was too. Marshawn was that dude.
It's so funny you bring up that Super Bowl, because I mean, and my take is more conspiracy than anything. Why? But I think it's real.
If you want to go there, we can go there.
Yeah. So Marshawn had just bust off a long run to get him down to the 1 yard line, and he was just a shoestring tackle from getting to the end zone. But this whole drive, he's just been chewing up yards. At this point, and y'all know how running backs get to that point to where there's nothing you can do. That momentum is there. It's like the juggernaut. You're going to run through anything. You build up momentum. There was nothing, just like you said, Jay, that there's nothing that was going to stop him. And I'm not talking about this. I mean, that was on 3rd down? It's like, it was the very next play he was going to get at the end zone. That's how confident I was. And then Pete Carroll went with that passing play. And my only thing that I can say controversial is that because Marshawn had just came off all this controversy by not speaking to the media and all this stuff like that, wearing a beast mode hat, getting fined and stuff like that. And I think there's a situation where Roger Goodell, along with the Seahawks organization, had made it predetermined that if anybody going to be MVP of this Super Bowl, it had to be Russell Wilson and not Marshawn Lynch. Because had he would have got that touchdown, he would have hands down been MVP, and he would have to talk. He would have had to talk to the media, and that's something we knew he wasn't going to do. So the players,
all that is
they like, true. Let's put the ball in Russell Wilson's hands. Hopefully he can make a touchdown pass, and it backfired on him. And Marshawn Lynch till this day still laughs about that. He said after that play, he went to the locker room.
Theory anymore. I don't even think it's a conspiracy theory. Those of us who watch the game and those of us who know what we talk about a little bit, that's what we all feel like, right?
Yeah.
He is the MVP, but if Russell gets that touchdown, he's the MVP.
Right.
Instead, none of y'all are MVP and you don't get a ring. Right.
Tom Brady gets MVP and not even the guy who called the interception.
Yeah.
So if
right,
I
because that's the only play the guy had all game.
Go ahead, Coach.
So just to pause for the cause, it's got a text message from my brother Felix, and I got to give him some props. We were talking about running backs earlier. You know who he's a monster fan of, and none of us said this guy's name.
Okay,
was the bus, Jerome Bettis.
Okay,
because he was. Jerome was.
Felix, if you watch, Felix, if you watching,
he just got on. Yeah.
So let me go ahead and throw this out there. Who would you take? Jerome Bettis or one Derrick Henry?
Woo! Felix, come on, Felix. Text me your answer.
Text him back, Felix. Who would you take?
Jerome the Bus right Bettis or Big D Henry?
And listen, it's always about situational football. It's all about, circumstances and stuff like that. Derrick Henry can break off a 99 yard, just like Tony Dorsett. But both guys, you put them on the goal line situation. This is what we're going with. Goal line.
Y'all ready? Y'all give me a drum roll here's his answer. He said he's going to ride the bus all day long. You go, Felix. I love it, brother.
All right, J-Dub.
I'm giving Felix all his props, man. That's awesome.
Who you got?
Man, there's no wrong answer in this one. There's no wrong answer. Bettis was lucky enough to play with a bunch of good players. So he was put in that big-time situation a little more often. But I'm riding with King Henry. I'm riding. King Henry can break you off like Tony Dorsett, or he can break you off like Jerome Bettis, right? He could do both. Both of them are about similar catchers out of the backfield, if memory serves me correct, right? But I of all the ones you've done, I think this is the closest one. I don't think there's a wrong
totally
really
1,000%, man. EC, you got us on this one, man.
Yeah,
you got us on this one.
My pick is simply, and because it's such a close race, I'm gonna stick with Jerome Bettis, and here's the reason why. The old school backs, their job was so defined; they knew exactly what they needed to do and when they needed to do it. These new running backs are now becoming more franchise players, and so now it's more so about the show. I watched too many times. We know what Derrick Henry do. We know he can bust through the line. We know he can step on somebody into the next universe. We know he can bust off a long run. But sometimes Derrick Henry gets into this space to where he gets a little prima donna in my mind. He gets a little prima donna. He can have a game to where it's just bad. Where this is a game you're playing a team that sucks against the run, and you pick this game to have the worst game ever. But guys like Jerome Bettis, they know the assignment. You know what I'm saying? And they're going to go out there and get it done. Like I say, it's a close race, but I'm going old school Jerome Bettis on that one.
Then I want to give Jerome one more quick thing about Jerome, because I got to see this big. Jerome, as a big dude, was very bouncy. He bounced off some tackles.
Yeah. Right.
Okay, so he could run you over, but also if you didn't get him the right way, he just bounced off of you and keep going.
Right.
So that was a Barry Sanders-esque, a small running back skill that Jerome definitely had. He could bounce off of you, run you over, and outrun the lineman, of course. I mean, he.
Right. Corey Patterson, thank you for watching on YouTube, man. I appreciate you. I see you say you got to go. I appreciate you, man, for watching, Corey. Let's move on to the next one. I'm going to give this one to Coach.
Oh, man.
Since you put him up.
I'm sweating.
Thurman Thomas or Le'Veon Bell?
Wow. So good. Both of them are so good. Man. I'm going to give the nod to Thurman because he played in 4 straight Super Bowls, which is something J-Dub and I talked about this week.
Yeah.
I mean, he was part of the reason why the Bills got to 4 straight Super Bowls. And so, yeah, that's what I'm going with.
You going with who?
With Thurman Thomas.
Thurman Thomas. Okay. Cool. He said not close to me. Corey Patterson is picking Thurman Thomas as well. So Jay,
I love it.
So who you got, J-Dub?
But I'm agree. It's not close to me either, Thurman Thomas. But let me tell you something. Le'Veon Bell was probably I talked to Coach about this a couple of weeks ago. He's the most interesting back I think I've ever seen. Because I don't know if y'all remember, but when he would get the handoff, there was a bunch of plays he would stop. And I mean dead in his tracks.
Yeah.
And let the offensive tackles and tight ends and wide receivers figure out if they were going to block or not. And then he'd pick his path based on that. So I don't know if I've ever seen I don't want to call it smart, but certainly being able to see a step ahead. Le'Veon Bell was something, he was a one-off. I've never seen another person do what Le'Veon Bell did. Even when he would run full speed, he would stop sometimes.
Right.
People run in front of him, and then he'd start again. So he's its own special category. But in terms of Le'Veon Bell versus Thurman Thomas, I mean, Thurman Thomas all day long.
Absolutely. Going to the comment section. Say he had beautiful patience. Beautiful
patience.
Yep.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
That's good. Corey, I like how you said that, man.
Yeah. All right, this one right here, I'm going to J-Dub. Coach, you got Coach, you at 3, J-W at 2. Let me throw this over here. Here's the name we haven't heard yet. We haven't talked about this guy. Roger Craig or Todd Gurley.
Oh my gosh, these other two guys that are so similar.
So Todd Gurley was somebody. If I have a list, I'm dwindling down. If we don't mention their names before we have to say real quick in a row, right? Todd Gurley was one of them. My Roger Craig expertise is based on the original Nintendo Tecmo Bowl. I didn't get to see Roger Craig. I remember my mom rooting for him because she was a big 49ers fan.
Yeah.
So I'm going Todd Gurley. And from what I do know, Roger Craig, again, you're in a super high-powered offense, right? You got Steve Young or Joe Montana, whichever one they had.
Jerry Rice.
Jerry Rice and everybody. So you just have to do your job, and if you do your job, it's going to look like you did it really well. Todd Gurley, on the other hand, was in a little bit more of a not as good a team. I'm not going to say they were bad. So I'm going to go Todd Gurley. He because, again, I got to see more of him, and that's all I can say. Who is that?
1,000 yards rushing, 1,000 yards in 1 year. Who
is that? Todd?
Was that Todd?
That is Todd.
I think
Corey?
that was Todd. Yeah, Corey. I think that was that Todd, Corey? I believe that was Corey.
Again, that helps me. That helps what I just said. So, yeah. I think that was Todd Gurley.
So yeah, let us know.
There's been so many good running backs. It is so crazy to talk about.
This is such a fun conversation. So EC, Felix said he's picking Todd Gurley all day long on that deal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh no, we got it wrong. Corey said that was Roger Craig.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Oh,
I wish I got to see that season.
Great pickup, Corey Patterson. That's something we missed. Wow. Okay,
Again,
you know what? That changes everything then.
There's been a lot of good ones.
So does that sway your opinion, Coach?
So EC, you said Todd, right?
Yeah.
Or did you? J-Dub said Todd.
No,
Felix
I haven't picked yet. I haven't picked yet.
J-Dub said.
So I'm gonna go with Corey Patterson on for Roger Craig.
Okay, so J-Dub said Todd. Felix said Todd. Y'all both said Roger Craig. Man, I thought Todd Gurley was such a stud. I'm going with Todd Gurley.
Okay, fair enough. J-Dub.
No disrespect to Roger Craig. He was a beast.
All right. So I put you at 4, J-Dub, Coach at 3. Let's move on, man. Thanks for the input, Corey, man, for giving us a little football history there.
Corey's
man.
on. I like Corey's on.
That season.
He said I'm only 42. Got to see like the end of my.
Oh, I haven't seen that one, Corey.
He said he loved football, watched a lot of film, man. I appreciate it, man. Yeah. You're around the same age as some of us on here.
Sweet.
All right, let's move on to this. We're coming down to the end. And I think I know who's going to go on this one. And I wish G was on here because he had this guy on his list, but we got to throw it on out there. O.J. Simpson versus Saquon Barkley.
Who's good?
It's back on you, because J-Dub just went. It's on you, Coach. Who you got?
Yeah, so y'all know I gave a bunch of love to the Juice earlier, man.
You did too. He was on your list, yeah.
Man, I tell you what though, Saquon Barkley, man, he's got it going on so bad. I'm gonna surprise you on. I'm taking Barkley.
Okay. Who you got, J-Dub? I gotta get my spiel. Orenthal, James Simpson. Obviously, we don't want to give any light on the bad behavior he had post his career.
Right.
But when you watch
we're
talking about Nicky Guns, O.J. Simpson. We're talking about running through the airport, say O.J. Simpson.
Hurts, come on, Hurts rental car.
When Hurts rental car, we're talking about O.J. Simpson when he was America's sweetheart, O.J. Not because, which led to his postseason success in the films and in the commercial industry, because what he was able to do for the sport of football during his era. When he was in era, he was the guy for at least several years. He was Mr. Football. And so Saquon, he's in the league right now, and you got to compete with the Derrick Henrys and the 218 yards just scored by our guy Jonathan Taylor. He's in a tough league right now. You know what I'm saying? The Kyron Williams right now. And then we see the whole reverse flip stuff. We saw it in the promo. Saquon is good and he's great and he's going to be a Hall of Famer, but I'm sticking with O.J. Simpson on this one right here. Yeah. Let's see who Corey is picking. Corey is saying that.
Yeah, Felix has got something here too. He's fixing to send me.
He says, don't remember the Jews. He said people don't remember the Jews. Barkley is also another fan. OJ,
no. So what Corey's saying, another fun fact is OJ, which I knew this was the first 2,000-yard rusher. But what makes that even more interesting is he did it on snow and ice. That's really what made it cool. So
all right. So who is Felix saying?
He's typing right now.
He's typing right now.
I think he's going to take Saquon. So
J-Dub, who you got while we're waiting on Felix?
Brother, that was a lot of good information. And now I thought I knew where I was going. I think I'm going to go Saquon just because I get to see him. I'm a huge fan. He did it on a – hey, so y'all answer me something. Was OJ's Buffalo teams in the hunt?
No,
they
never,
at the top of the league?
No, they were never. They were garbage.
So that means he gets some credit because I give Saquon credit for doing it with the bad Giants team.
Absolutely.
So, man, y'all just made some good arguments. I think I'm still going to barely stick with Saquon just because I like his vibe. I like his attitude. I like everything he does, and I didn't get to see enough OJ. I mean, again, he's on my list of 5 of guys that I know are there, but I can't really speak much to.
All you got to do is open up your refrigerator, and you got OJ right there.
It's right there. It's right there. There ain't been no cranberry juices or milk. There ain't been no 7-Up running on the field, but there has been an OJ.
So Felix said that he didn't get to see the Juice play, and he said, but he said he did.
Yeah.
He said he did get to see Saquon play. Saquon's got it going on. So
Saquon has got it going on. He blocks downfield. I mean,
and don't forget he's a Penn State kid also. My bad.
I love when wide receivers seek active contact, right? Whether they're running the ball or just helping the other people. I mean, and Saquon seeks contact for sure.
Yeah. Okay, so it's actually a tie. So, because you said Felix is picking Saquon, Corey is picking OJ, I'm picking OJ, Coach, you pick OJ. So, you guys are tied right now. They give you 1 point out of the tiebreaker. So, you guys 4-4. Let's move on.
It's awesome.
Who just went last? It was just
Coach, it's just such a hard conversation.
It's such a great conversation. It's such a great conversation.
It's about to get even harder. Here you go, J-Dub. This one is for you. Herschel Walker versus one Dalvin Cook.
I have, as a North Texas person, seen enough footage on Herschel Walker. I'm going Herschel Walker. I like his size. I like his speed. I think in today's game he'd be even better than he was then. I go Herschel Walker all day on this one. It's not even close for me.
Okay, Coach, who you got?
Man, I got to see Herschel at the University of Georgia, and I got to see him play in his whole pro career. No disrespect to Delvin, but Herschel Walker was a man child, so definitely going to Herschel.
Hey, let me tell you something. So y'all
Corey's on a roll, man.
I know he's on a roll, man. Did y'all see how I'd even give my take? Because my mind was made up. Because I was like, I know I was supposed to go opposite, and I love Dalvin Cook, and I love what he did over in Minnesota.
I love Dalvin Cook too,
but Herschel Walker is for me. Yeah.
I think what he's saying, Herschel Walker today runs through people. It's crazy.
He said, Corey said, I have old soul, and I think some of these today, these backs today, a little soft.
Yeah, they're way soft.
Yeah.
Some of these backs today don't have to play 3 downs every single time.
Exactly. And that's the reason why I put Jerome Bettis over Derrick Henry. But yeah, I think it's a Devin Cook hand down on that. Was a JW. You get 2 points on that by virtue that everybody else picked him. So,
and Felix said that Herschel was legit. That's his exact word. So
Herschel played out of his mind sometimes.
5 first-round draft picks. What was the
or 15? Who knows?
So Coach, I'm gonna bring this to a little modern times right now. So here we go. A name you haven't heard of in a minute, but I love this game. One of my actual favorites, Fred Taylor versus Josh Jacobs. Freddie T. Jacksonville. Another guy who played on a bad team.
I'm getting ready to make a comment. Okay.
Dude, Fred Taylor was so big.
I'm getting ready to make a comment. I'm gonna listen. Shut up and listen.
Go ahead.
I'm like Jim Sundberg says. I'm gonna hang up and listen. Josh Jacobs might be one of the best running backs currently in professional football. So I'm going with Josh.
Wow.
He is one of the best running backs in current football.
Josh is such a beast.
I didn't know if Eric was finna make his piece. I'll make it for him. I'm going.
I was about to say, I'm Freddie T all day long.
I'm Freddie T all day. That was a hard tackle. That was a fast dude on a bad team and still putting up numbers on a week to week. Dude, Fred Taylor was him. I mean, I know all these guys were him. What are we saying? Everyone we've mentioned today was worth mentioning.
It's like Josh Jacobs played his career over in Oakland and then Las Vegas, but now he's with the Packers. And Corey just said he hates the Packers, so he's already going with Freddie T on this one.
Yeah, Fred Taylor, man.
I picked Fred Taylor because, man, for at least a couple of years, he was my fantasy running back. And here's the deal: as I'm in the draft, he's like at the bottom. And obviously, during that time, they had some of those running back that was on those Super Bowl teams or those teams who was winning their conferences and stuff like that. And obviously, Freddie T played on a bad Jacksonville team. And I'm gonna tell you, every single week, he was consistent. I had no problem.
Yeah.
No,
I agree. I had him some of them.
We lost him for a minute.
I had him some of them weeks too.
Oh, we really lost him.
Great player on a bad team. They make sure he gets the touchdown, so they keep him happy.
Jay, though, man, is Josh Jacobs, man, is he something special or what, dude?
Oh, he runs angry. He runs angry like the kid from Pitt. I'm sorry. Yeah. So, but no, Fred Taylor was the truth in fantasy. If he'd had anything to help him, I think we would remember his name more often.
And y'all, and quick shout out to the Pivot Podcast. The opening video, it started out with Nick Chubb sitting down with the Pivot Podcast. Freddie Taylor's a part of that podcast with Shannon Crowder and Ryan Clark, RC. And so, y'all, they're the reason why I got into doing what I do right now as far as doing this podcast stuff, because I love what they did. I think they changed the game when it came down to today's media. I love their podcast. I love those guys. Freddie Taylor is just a well-spoken man, a man of wisdom. So I love him, but not just what he do post-career, but definitely as he played. So I'm going with Freddie Taylor on that one. And so no disrespect to Josh Jacobs, but it's a fun conversation.
Yeah, and Felix went with Fred Taylor also.
He went with Fred Taylor also. Yeah. So who had that question? That was on you, J-Dub, wasn't it?
No, it was on Coach.
That was on Coach?
I went Josh.
Oh, you who that question was given to?
Me.
That was on you? Oh, snap. So dang.
I've got one here in a minute when y'all get ready. I got a combination if you run out of them.
Okay, so let's see what Corey had to say. That
that's funny that Corey said that.
He
towards
did,
the end, they had a nice two-headed monster there.
It's funny that Corey just said that because Felix just said that also.
He just said that one.
It's crazy.
MJD was every bit as good. Yeah.
Good job, Felix.
All right, then. So here's one that may not be too much comparison. Most people may not remember this guy, but I'm throwing it out there anyway. Here we got Steven Jackson versus one Jonathan Taylor.
Mm-hmm. Man, did Steven Jackson and Todd Gurley overlap?
Yeah.
Was there an overlap there?
Yeah.
Man, Man, I'm going Steven Jackson. He that Rams team was one of my favorites.
They were a lot of
Jonathan
fun to
Taylor's
watch.
good, and he just had a phenomenal week. Don't get me wrong, but I think Steven Jackson's the first person I can remember with the dreads hanging out of his helmet too. He was a trendsetter. Now it's every player, and I'm like, nah, he was one of a kind.
Corey said this is a great one there. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, I'm going with JT. I know he had a great game last week, and I know he had a season where he didn't play much. But but the same thing you said about Josh Jacobs, this is how I've always felt about Jonathan Taylor. He's just on the bad team, but I feel like that JT is the greatest runner. I mean, I rooted for them, especially when they had Carson Wentz over there for a little while over in Indianapolis. My father-in-law is a Colts fan, man, but I think Jonathan Taylor, man, is one of those back, but they just don't use him the right way, in my opinion. And it frustrates me so much.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And when they got the new young kid, Anthony Richardson, I just knew this was going to be great complementary football to where what you want to do for a young rookie like Anthony Richardson is have a great running back. And most people don't have a top 5 today running back on their squad like Anthony Richardson had, and they did, and they still tried to throw the ball more than run it. And it just ran me so crazy, but it is what it is. So I'm going with Jonathan Taylor on that. Who you got, Coach?
Now, I really like Steven Jackson because he was big and he was strong and he was fast. And so I like big, strong, fast guys. So I thought Steven was the guy.
Okay. If Felix getting his pick in.
Yeah, I'll see. I'll let you know here in a minute.
Oh, yeah. So we talked about Eric Dickerson.
We talked about both those guys.
CJ2K, CJ2K, yeah, Chris Johnson, yeah. We talked about them earlier, man.
We've already processed them. We put them to the back already.
And already said those guys were great.
He said, but they were 2,000-yard receivers too. You know what I'm saying? Eric Dickerson 2,000 yards. Man, wow. That's crazy. CJ2K. All right, then. So go ahead.
And again, Chris Johnson, I mean, when he went to Arizona, it was in hopes that he would have a second chance, but everywhere he went, they just collapsed around him, but he still produced every game. All
right. I got two more on this list. Well, two more verses on this list, and we're gonna see what the D-Way have to say. But J-Dub, you win that argument, so you're up.
Felix went Steven Jackson too. Just
so it's 6-7. So he went. Oh, he went Steven Jackson.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's 6-7. J-Dub 6, Coach 7. Let's get on to this one. Is on.
These have been great, man.
It's on you, Coach. Here we go. Boom. Tiki Barber or DeMarco Murray.
Murray, the pride of University of Oklahoma. Man, I really liked. I like those big, strong backs that can run.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed watching DeMarco Murray play. In college and in pro. So I'm going to go DeMarco.
Tiki Barber. DeMarco Murray obviously is an emotional pick for me because who he played for, you know what I'm saying, here in the city. So
how long did he do it for? How long was he that guy? For 3 seasons, 4 seasons?
He was here, not long. And then he went, where did he go after that? Exactly.
He
said Marvin for sure, Barber was okay, but he helped big Brandon Jake. Yeah, he did.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Wow, right. I remember the game. I remember the game. I forgot. It was third. No, it was 4th and like 3, and they had a play out. They had an option with Romo and DeMarco Murray in the back. So it was a player option. He can do what he want to do. And he chose to throw the ball incomplete. And I just remember DeMarco running off the field, throwing his elbow, and he just screamed out, "Why?" That's right. He went to Philly after that. Yeah. He ended up going to Philly after that. Had a decent season, but not the same. I just remember when we had DeMarco Murray and that I thought that because this is the best one. This was a team that was going to mimic the Cowboys 90s. So, I'm going with DeMarco Murray on this one. I like Tiki Barber, but So that was kind of a toss-up. I was hoping somebody fight because I just knew somebody was going to go Tiki.
I'm gonna go Tiki. Just for time frame, just for longevity, for how long he was successful. Yes, he had Brandon Jacobs. Yes, he was just a running back. That's why he's not in my top 25. But he did it for longer. I just think he had. I mean, more people remember Tiki Barber's name than probably DeMarco Murray's name. I'll say that.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
So Felix just said that when Tiki was cured from fumbleitis, he was legit.
He became Rondé. That's who he became.
Yeah. Cured from fumbleitis.
Felix, you're killing me, Felix.
All right, Jay, the last verse I have. Corey, if you're still on, man, feel free to give us a verses. Give us 2 running backs that we can debate on. I know Coach got some. He's typing up right now.
I got one.
But here's my last
I got
on my list.
I got one that's going to mess up J-Dub.
So here's the last 2 I got on my list. And this is going to you, Coach. Edgerrin James or Christian McCaffrey.
Oh, man. See, you stole my thunder, bro.
Oh, did I really? You heard?
Yeah. But that's okay, man. I love it. And this is a guy that J-Dub and I talk about too a lot.
Yeah.
Christian McCaffrey, dude, he's a special dude, man. He as good as Edgerrin James was, and he was great. Christian McCaffrey, and it's like J-Dub reminded me, all those great years he had at Carolina on a bad team.
Yeah.
Christian McCaffrey's got it going on. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say. Next.
It's hard. It's hard to knock out a guy like Edgerrin James.
Yes, it is.
10,000 plus yards in the season, 80 touchdowns, averages 4 yards a carry. And of course, now that Christian McCaffrey is hurt and we see the things he's done over the years playing, and he played in that bad Carolina team. He said he got James, but Christian McCaffrey is all purpose. Absolutely.
Good call.
Yeah, and that's the reason why I'm going with James. Now, obviously, this is early because Christian McCaffrey's career is not over it. The way he bounced back from this injury will tell the tale. Yeah. But J-Dub, you got an opinion. Here you go.
Bro, I'm a man, that's a tough one. Edgerrin was my number 2 on the hat tip list, and I wanted to make sure these names got mentioned.
Yeah.
I'm going to go McCaffrey. I think, and it's not even Edgerin's fault. Edgerrin was in such a great offense that we don't know how good he was by himself, which is awesome. It's a great thing if you can get to say that. But we know how good Christian is. I'm going McCaffrey, and what he just said, he's knocking off names off my list right now.
See, he wasn't on the call early. He didn't get to hear all this stuff.
They're getting mentioned. I just want to make sure certain names come up, right? Holmes, Sean Alexander.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. You go back to the verses.
Yeah. Felix said he likes the edge, but he also said that Christian McCaffrey's in a couple more years is going to be a stud. He's going to be the guy.
I think I barely take McCaffrey in that one. Barely.
Yeah.
Okay, so you got 1 point, Jay, because you got 1 point, Coach. So that's 8
wow.
to 6. Yeah, because you kind of lost it. All right, let's get to so we already talked about Franco Harris and Tony Dorsett. So this won't be a versus, but man, if you had to pick one, who would you pick? Coach. Because you had both of them on your list.
You're killing me. Hey, Corey.
You're the person to answer this. You're the only person to answer
this,
Corey, you missed it. These are my 2 top favorite all-time NFL running backs, and you're asking me to pick between these 2 hookers?
Yeah, come on.
You got to pick. That was on your top.
Tony Dorsett.
You got Tony Dorsett? Oh, man, that's what's up.
Made me sick to my stomach.
I think McCaffrey might have to retire after all those injuries.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That's the same thing I said. Yeah.
Definitely not going to be who he was, right? He's not going to be that same person.
So there you go. He picked Tony Dorsett. So we're going to give you a point on that, Coach, just because.
Thank you.
So
Felix, who you going with, Tony Dorsett or Felix doesn't know who Franco Harris is. He thinks he is in the circus or something. I don't know.
Wow. So who else you got, Coach? J-Dub, you got any 2 that you want to throw out there?
I'm hit a couple that I haven't heard mentioned. Every name I've listened to. I want to hear. Let's hear Clinton Portis versus Jamal Lewis.
Oh.
I got to say both names, so I'm good. I can scratch them off. There's just a couple names I want to make sure get said. Clinton Portis versus Jamal Lewis.
My goodness, man. Coach, who you got?
I'm gonna go Jamal Lewis. I'm going Jamal Lewis.
What?
I was actually surprised. On that one that you went Jamal.
Yeah.
I'm going with Clinton Portis. I mean,
I am too.
Right. Because here's the deal: playing in the Washington, one of your is NFC East rival. Obviously, those who are watching, we're over in Big D. You know what I'm saying? And so, I know, right? You don't like to watch the other team, but right when I became the Fairweather fan, when I started actually watching all the teams, I started peering in on a lot of NFC teams and watching Clifton Portis play. I was like, snap, this guy. And I'm not, Lewis is good, but I watched more of Clifton Portis than I did anything. So yeah, that's my guy. And I think I did have it in one of my fantasy leagues as well. Yeah, so I'm going with that one.
Cool. Awesome. Felix went Jamal Lewis also.
He went Jamal Lewis?
Yeah. And
I think JW lost your own battle.
And he also took Franco over.
No, that wasn't even a battle. I'm just listen. There's only like 4 more names.
Oh, you know what? Because
that's,
so he get a point. Okay, because he did have both the guys on the list, so that he did a point on that. So it's six to 8 on that. So you guys still close. So we got to tell Felix if he can to give us two.
One combination. He picked
There's
Franco
literally
over.
4 more names that I have to make sure get mentioned.
And I know one of them. I already know one of them.
So let's go on this one right here. So Jada, so we've already talked about Terrell Davis. Corey Patterson's giving us another name versus Ernest Biner.
Biner.
I keep saying it, Biner. Now, I don't know anything about Ernest Biner. Just all transparency. This must be before my time.
Oh, Corey's he's going old school with Ernest.
Yeah,
man.
I got to pull him up real quick.
Tell me if I'm wrong. I think didn't he have a big career with the Cleveland Browns? Help me with this.
Yep, sure did.
Okay.
Cleveland Browns. Yep, Ernest Biner.
I don't think we did, Felix. I think we did, Felix.
We did Terrell Davis. We had Terrell Davis going against Gil Sayers, but I'm looking at
Felix is cracking me up. He wants to know why we haven't put Marion the Barbarian Barber in that mix.
Okay.
Dallas Cowboy.
So let's do it this way. So let's go ahead. Since we already got snap. God.
But does he break a top 25? Does Marion Barber break a top 25?
No. Neither does Kevin. 30? Yeah.
So let's do because we know what Terrell Davis can do. So let's do it that way. Let's do Ernest Biner and Marion Barber.
That's a good combination. Oh man. Oh gosh. It's hard. I know Felix is gonna go Marion Barber.
He's gonna go Marion Barber.
Yeah. Man,
so
good.
I'm like I said, I didn't know anything about Ernest Biner until now, but I'm going Marion Barber. Why? Because I got a chance to. Marion Barber used to come to our church. I don't know if he ever joined my old church, not Covenant, but my old church. He used to come to church all the time. Yeah, our pastor, Pastor Rush, at that time, during that area, he was the Dallas Cowboys chaplain. I think he was there maybe for like a couple of years. And so Roy Williams, the cornerback, the free safety Roy Williams, he was an avid member there, part of the choir. He was a real long-term member there. We had pretty much almost that whole wide receiver a core over there that came and visit. T.O. came visit a couple of times. Miles Austin came visit a couple of times. The one guy that just broke my heart the most was the kid that went to jail. Can't think of his name right now. He used to sing in our choir. The Brownski kid went to jail for selling drugs, whatever.
Who did he play for?
He played for the Cowboys, the Cowboys receiver.
Okay.
I think of his name, but yeah, he's come there. Greg Ellis used to be a frequent there. Another one, their center, Andre Gerard was a big member there. You know what I'm saying? And so obviously Marion Barber. He came there off the time. Terry Glenn came visit a couple times, but yeah, and it just the fact that the way he.
Oh man, I'm fixing to lose. Did y'all lose me?
No, we lost Eric for a minute.
I'm fixing to run out of juice, man. So
I am too.
Yeah, I'm totally fixing to run out of juice.
Hold on. Yeah, Marion Barber was like had to win. Sam Hurd, that was his name. Sam Hurd, the wide receiver. Yeah. So everybody's running out of juice.
Yeah.
My spectrum is going off, man. Corey Patterson, man, appreciate you for joining us up on YouTube.
That was awesome.
This has been a great conversation. I got one more comment.
Time out.
Go ahead.
I got 4 names. Okay.
Gotcha.
No, I got 3.
I know the first one.
The highest one on the list that nobody mentioned tonight that's on there is Curtis Martin.
Curtis Martin, yep. I knew it.
Curtis Martin is easily a top 10 running back. He played on a team that none of us watched. If you want to talk about fantasy, you're going to talk about highlights, you want to talk about just doing it week in, week out, that's number 1 name for me. Number 2 name for me that I know Corey mentioned Sean Alexander, so that got off my plate a little bit.
Yeah.
Number 2 I want to mention is Corey Dillon. During the Bengals run with Ocho Cinco and TJ Who's Your Mama and the Red Rocket, Corey Dillon was the truth for a decade almost. Okay?
Yeah.
Brian Westbrook, nobody mentioned, never came up. The original Shady McCoy before just Shady did it better, okay?
Right.
The last one is very specific. I want us to remember how good was the Miami Dolphins version of Ricky Williams.
Wow.
That's only like a 3 or 4 season. That's only like a 3 or 4 season window. But man, he couldn't be stopped in any way. He threw a couple touchdown passes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, our guy from Texas, man. Yeah, we
those are the only names.
We love Ricky Williams. Yeah.
As I'm watching the screen on the bottom, Priest Holmes, Sean Alexander, a couple people got mentioned by text, but verbally, I want to make sure all the people on my list got mentioned to one degree or another, and those are the only 3 that didn't make it.
Hey, can y'all hear me?
Yes, sir. We can hear you just fine.
4 that didn't make it.
Ooh.
I knew J-Dub I knew he was going to throw Curtis.
Hey, Coach, you look at the screen, Coach.
Yeah, see, I was going to go there, but I didn't want y'all to accuse me of being old, so. You asked J-Dub if I didn't talk about
Larry Johnson. Oh, my God, I forgot about Larry Johnson.
You asked J-Dub if I didn't talk about John Riggins this week. Ask him.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, that's what make this conversation so fun because y'all, this was we're going to end the show right here, but man, Corey, thanks for watching. Deacon JC, thank you for watching. Man, listen, all those who've been watching, man, to my guys at Faith Sports Talk Radio, I know you guys didn't get a chance to come on, but please, man, y'all watch the video, share it. Awesome. We love oh my God.
I mentioned
oh my God.
Anyway.
Oh my God.
Okay, I'm done.
Oh my God, Christian Okoye, Barry Foster, Barry, but God, dog. Y'all, so when we talk about the greatest running backs of all time, obviously there are guys who are going to be in the top 10, and you saw it in Open the Reel. You're talking about the Barry Sanders, the Jim Browns, the Marshall Faulks, the Eric Dickersons, the EmmittSmith, the O.J. Simpsons, Adrian Petersons, LaDainian Thomas, and I can go on and on. We know what those top 10, top 15 guys are, but there are a lot of running backs, they're like Christian Okoye, Barry Foster, Marion Butts, these guys, the John Riggins, you know what I'm saying, the Larry Johnson, all these guys that had great seasons, and if you was a fan of that team or just a fan of football, you knew how they made you feel watching them. And that's the one thing about it. And the reason why this conversation is important to me, because y'all know
Michael Turner,
man. Yeah. And the reason why this conversation is so important to me, because y'all know what happened a few years ago with the collective bargaining agreements. The one position that took the bad apple was the running back position. And that was so hard. And, watching these guys having Zoom calls like Christian McCaffrey and Josh Jacobs and Nick Chubb all having Zoom calls and trying to figure out why they're getting marginalized with their play. And they're trying to blame it all on Zeke Elliott effect. So he got paid all that money and then all of a sudden he didn't perform after that. But we cannot marginalize and cannot discount the running back position, because when you got a great one, you got a great one. You know what I'm saying? Man, appreciate it, Corey. Man. Appreciate the love, Corey. Appreciate you.
Yeah, Corey, you were
awesome. And also on that, just real quick, Eric,
Yes,
there
sir.
was a weird thing that happened in a very short time. Like between the years of 2010 and 2008, in that 8-year span,
Yeah,
it went from having an every down back to being run by committee. Like it
absolutely.
happened so fast. So these boys in the collective bargaining agreement that got marginalized, I feel for them because these players are still at the top of the league. But when you have 32 teams and 29 of them are run by committee, then they're going to write the rules for those 29, not the other 3.
Absolutely. And it's sad because as the collectives, as they start throwing out more money, obviously the quarterback position became the most paid. And so the ideal is, and we see what happened with Saquon and Daniel Jones. We can't, and they literally said, we cannot pay Saquon a lot of money and run the ball, and we just paid this quarterback. So we cannot, with good conscience, pay Saquon and not utilize the money that we spent with this terrible quarterback. You know what I'm saying? No disrespect to Daniel Jones. And we saw what happened to the organization there in the overhaul situation. And then here comes Saquon, leave the organization, go right to his NFC rival, and then does what he does right now in Philadelphia because he's on the wrong team, a team that didn't take care of him and didn't look after him. And y'all, we do not let these guys go. You thought Saquon was done after his injury. He wasn't. You thought Jonathan Taylor was done after his injury. He wasn't. Chris McCaffrey should bounce back after injury. We still keep seeing this situation with J.K. Dobbins. He can get hurt, come back, hurt, come back. Now he's out again. So we don't know, but we know when J.K. hit the field, we know what to expect out of him, right? So this is one thing you love about the running back. Yes, it's a hard position. Yes, they get hit every single play, but you do not marginalize because, yes, while air raid is special, air raid is fun, but there's nothing like what Nick Chubb said at the beginning of the video. When you want to break a team down, you run it down.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah, let's see what Corey said. I got rolling over the grave right now playing. Yes, they are.
Giants they were a bad team. Hey, here's a question for you guys before we shut it down, okay?
Yes, sir.
You starting a franchise today. You're the general manager and the president, and you have to make the decision. You're brand spanking new franchise. You have nobody, and you have to pick a running back, franchise guy, your first pick, and you can take any running back that's ever put on an NFL uniform. Who are you going to pick, J-Dub?
I'm taking your boy, LaDainian Tomlinson, North Texas product, and we shutting it down. If we need him to kick, he's going to kick. If we need him to punt, we need him to throw, we need him to block, we need him to play linebacker, LT all day long. That's what I'm picking.
Corey's he's picking Barry Sanders. So if Corey picking Barry Sanders, I'm gonna go ahead and let Corey have his pick because I don't want to overshadow. So therefore, I'm going to pick. Oh, hold up. What did he say? He said maybe I'm biased. Any era.
Anybody. It'd be nice if you saw him play, though. You know.
Y'all, this is gonna be crazy, but I'm sorry. We did not bring him up at all during today's conversation.
You're gonna pick him your first franchise pick? Okay.
Listen, my first franchise pick. We did not talk about him all today, but if I'm building a team right now, I'm taking Joe Mixon all day long.
Man, that's awesome.
All day long.
That's great.
Man. Whoa.
I like it. I'm good with that.
Felix said LT also.
You take LT. So we got LT twice. We got Joe Mixon and we got Barry Sanders, man. Y'all, man, this has been great, man. It's been fun, man.
Wait. Get it in, coach. No.
I thought you picked LaDainian.
Felix picked LaDainian.
Oh, Felix picked Banks. Oh, okay. Felix picked LaDainian. Okay.
I only wish you guys kind of got to see this guy play. I'm going with the Tyler Rose, Earl Campbell.
Okay, man, okay.
He can also play nose guard and middle linebacker for me also.
Man, I love it, man. So you got 2 for LaDainian Thomas. We got 1 for Barry Sanders. I got Joe Mixon, and then Coach got Earl Campbell, y'all. Man, y'all, this has been an awesome conversation, y'all.
It's fun.
We got one final word from Corey. Corey is saying, he said, whoa, thanks, man. Corey, thank you so much for joining this conversation. I know you are in and out of town, man, but I appreciate it, man. I'm a man from Detroit. That's what's up. Y'all, this has been the Fairweather Fan Channel, man. Y'all, it's been great. Once again, please like, subscribe, share, join the conversation, man. But please leave comments, man. Corey, thank you for jumping in the comment section. Deacon JC, man, thank you for jumping in the comment section. My man Felix, man, thank you for getting involved. And we had Jonathan G on, man, briefly before he went to go cut some hair, man.
Yeah.
Y'all, that's all we have for the Fairweather Fan Channel, man. We won't be on tomorrow, but join us next Tuesday at 6 p.m. right here on Facebook, YouTube, man. And that's all we have, man. We are out. Thank you for watching.
All right.